A new political action committee called the Patriot PAC is seeking to elect candidates with a background in public service. That includes candidates who have served in the military or as public school teachers and as first responders. It was launched today by Hudson Valley Congressman Pat Ryan. The PAC's goal is to raise more than $2 million for 50 New York-based candidates all around the state in this election cycle. Next year, the PAC hopes to endorse 250 candidates all around the country. Joining me now to talk more about it is Congressman Pat Ryan himself. He's a Democrat who represents New York's 18th congressional district. That includes all or part of Orange County, as well as parts of Dutchess and Ulster County in the Hudson Valley. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
What made you decide to do this? This is a big project.
Yeah, I mean, I love this country literally so much. I risked my life 27 months in combat in the Army. And then I come home and I see Trump and MAGA wrapping themselves in the American flag while they trample on the very freedoms and values that were foundational to the country. And I can't abide that. You got to do something. And I think a big part of it is we need, at every level, a bench of folks in the Democratic Party who are patriots, who have walked the walk on serving something bigger than themselves. So we're trying to do that with this PAC and build this really like a vanguard, I think, given the moment we're in.
What is it about those, I guess, the ones that you're most familiar with, the people who have served in the armed forces? What would make somebody who was successful there hesitant about stepping into public life?
Yeah, when I first ran for office was 2017 and 18. I had no clue what I was doing. I'd served in the military. I'd actually run 2 companies. I had no idea what politics or campaigns were about. And that's the case for a lot of folks that have done other public service but not been political. So everything from how do you run a campaign, how do you know who to call or raise the funds you need for the campaign, all those components to really help guide people and create an access point for those kind of folks. If my mom's a retired public school teacher, folks like that who, how do we get more of them into the political sphere? And
in the end, is the world of politics all that different from, say, office politics or military politics, where I understand there is some backstabbing and deal making and other stuff that goes on?
Right now, anyway, it's a lot worse. I mean, I think that's a big part of the problem. When I was in the Army, I was deployed twice to Iraq. I literally couldn't tell you what the political affiliation of any of my soldiers were. We had a mission. It was most days existential life and death situation. We had to count on each other. And, you know, similar if you're a nurse in the ER, if you're a firefighter running into a burning building. And that ethos, it matters, and we really need more of that ethos in our politics. And there's even academic studies that actually show particularly veterans are more effective legislators because they're able to build consensus, work across the aisle, so we certainly need that too.
There was a time in my lifetime that you could not expect to go very far in politics if you didn't have some kind of public service, preferably military service. That has changed, though, in the last generation, hasn't it?
At its height, Congress, for example, had almost 80% military veterans, the World War II generation in particular. For a long time, we were under 20%, and we just got up over 20%. Wow. So not saying the whole body should certainly have done so, but I do think in a moment like this, we can all agree we need people that are able to serve a bigger cause, and that is just particular in the Congress, not how it is.
How are you deciding who to support? You got a questionnaire circulating out there?
Yeah, we just launched our website. We actually have had over, we sort of put it out a few weeks ago. We've had over 100 people already apply.
Oh, you're gonna make a lot of friends now.
Running in elections coming up in just, a few weeks. From New York City all the way up to Buffalo in the North Country, and it's awesome. I mean, we've got a great Air National Guard major out running to be a supervisor of a big town in Western New York, an undersheriff in Columbia County up my way, who'd be the first woman of color to be sheriff in New York State.
One of your first 4 is City Councilwoman Rita Joseph from right here in Brooklyn. What drew you to supporting her?
So I actually got to know Rita back when I was a county executive, and I had a similar effort to support service candidates back then. And I endorsed her in her first run, actually, and we've become really close friends, and she's kicking butt and taking names. And to have an educator, union leader helping craft education policy, it's great.
Who's donating to this PAC?
Anybody that wants. we welcome everybody. I mean, individual donations only. No, not corporate funds. I don't accept any corporate donations.
Right. And you're making these decisions yourself?
Yeah, I've got a great team member who's been working with me for a while on this, and we're excited to do it. In a moment like this, it's easy to feel overwhelmed or powerless, but I really think it's a don't agonize, organize kind of moment. And I think putting good people forward it gives me hope. It gives something constructive to do.
Well, let me ask you, since you raised the issue about what is going on in Washington, are we going to have a government shutdown as far as you can tell?
I hope not. I mean, I think the way I really think about the moment is the overreach by the Trump administration and the failure to meet what people really want, which is lowering healthcare costs, lowering food costs, lowering housing costs. That combination, folks that I talk to in my district, which is a swing district, by the way, overwhelmingly want us to stop that overreach and that harm. I mean, it's really harm, and sort of pump the brakes. So I really think that's how I think about this moment. That's why I've now twice voted against these Republican budgets. They've made no attempt to actually work with us collaboratively, which is what our founders and framers intended. And they're trying to jam this through, and it's just not how democracy is supposed to work.
Okay, let's talk about the race for mayor. You recently announced your endorsement of Zoran Mamdani. What led you to that decision?
I thought it's a pretty easy choice. I was pretty candid in how I talked about it when I announced it. I think Zoran is about the people. He's about addressing the number one issue that folks are dealing with here and in my district, which is affordability. And Andrew Cuomo, who unfortunately I have some firsthand experience in this, I don't think is a person of integrity and should not be in a position of public trust.
Yeah, you said in your announcement, quote, Andrew Cuomo is a selfish POS who only fights for himself and other corrupt elites. That's pretty harsh.
I don't say things like that lightly or very often. People that know me will tell you that. But I can tell you, I was a county executive during the pandemic, and without going into the nitty-gritty, there were lives lost of seniors in nursing homes in my community by a failure to operate with integrity and character, and that's just not something we can tolerate.
Hakeem Jeffries, your Democratic conference leader, was asked again, I guess he gets asked a couple of times a day, morning and night, about whether he's going to support, or who he's going to support for mayor. Let's take a look at what he had to say this morning.
I'm curious if you have a time frame for weighing in on the New York City mayor's race. We're a month out from the start of early voting.
Soon.
What does that mean, though? You've been saying soon for several months.
So I have not been saying soon for several months.
Before or after the shutdown fight?
Sooner rather than later.
Will that complicate it if there's a shutdown? How you weigh in on New York?
No.
Decode this for us. What's going on here?
Hakeem Jeffries is a phenomenal leader. He's focused where he needs to be, which is, I mean, it's an existential battle right now, particularly on healthcare, where if Republicans get their way, the $1 trillion they cut from Medicaid, that's going to, in my district, for example, mean over 100,000 kids without care. That's going to mean seniors in assisted living not having health care. That covers 40% of births across the country. That's at risk, plus an attempt to jack up costs on the Affordable Care Act that we're trying to fight back on. So I mean, he's rightly, I think, focused there. That's a national fight. He's the leader of our party, and he's doing a great job. And well, I'm sure he'll, as he said, he'll let us know when he's ready.
Well, now this question of who to support for mayor has been on the table since June when we settled our primary. And let me try out something on you. You tell me if I'm on the right track. It seems to me that he's got national politics that he's concerned about, not just the shutdown fight, but the effort to try and win back the House next year. And that who he endorses and what he stands for, and frankly, what the party wants to align itself with, will matter. And it will play out very differently, outside of New York. And he's sort of still trying to manage that process.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll let him. I'm very careful to not speak for anybody other than myself. I'll let him speak for that. I mean, I can say I'm in one of those battleground districts outside of the city, up in the Hudson Valley.
And you don't think this is going to hurt you in a swing district?
No, I think voters look at what their representatives doing, how their representatives delivering for them, and that's really, I give credit to the voters. They see that and they understand that. So. Everybody will make the decision they think is right.
It's very interesting. You're in a swing district that had been represented by a Republican. You've got West Point in your district. Nobody's going to come up to you and say, "What are you doing with this socialist? Why are you supporting this guy?" Nobody's going to say that to you?
I mean, I think we got to frankly move away from these like labels from 50 years ago, frankly, with great respect. I mean, the whole people try to say, some people say I'm a moderate, then I get attacked for being a, crazy lefty. The reality is most people don't think that way. It's like, are you doing the thing I need? Are you bringing down healthcare costs? Are you bringing down housing costs? Are you bringing down food costs? Are you working with whoever you can to do that? That's what voters want. I think that's what Zoran's campaign has been about, and that's why it's connected and created a lot of energy. And I think it's particularly a moment of status quo versus change. And to have someone in former governor with a lot of issues, that's a backwards looking decision versus a forward looking, hopeful, optimistic, love of the city direction. And I'm not surprised people made that choice in the primary.
Okay, hope and optimism on the agenda. Thanks so much for coming by. Best of luck with your new PAC. Keep us up to date on how that all goes.